If retirement isn't on your mind, it should be. No matter the age, there are a lot of factors that could play into your retirement planning. Kara sat down earlier today to talk to Joel Johnson about one of them.
It is time now for Better Money, and Joel Johnson is a certified financial planner and managing partner at Johnson Brunetti. Today we're talking about how retirement is affected by divorce. Thank you so much for being here, Joel.
It's great to be here again, Kara.
So this is a big hurdle for a lot of people to overcome, because you've maybe saved together, you've planned together, and then you have this life event like a divorce. There's some things you have to take care of so that both people can be whole.
Well, no question about it, and the expenses don't necessarily get cut in half. Right?
Okay.
So, see, now you have two places to live, right?
Yep.
2 rents to pay or 2 mortgages to pay. So there's a lot of things that, although the income might get chopped in half, the expenses don't get cut in half. So it presents a challenge.
Okay, so let's talk about number one, Social Security. How would that be affected by divorce?
So Social Security, if you haven't been married 10 years, you do not have the ability to get credits against your spouse's earnings. So, for instance, if I've been married for 10 years to Wendy, we've been married 32 years now, if we were to get a divorce, which I don't plan to, but if we were to get a divorce, she would still be able to collect under my benefits, which are probably going to be higher than hers because we've been married for at least 10 years. If you haven't been married for at least 10 years, you lose that option to get the income from the higher credits.
Okay. And what about if you've been working and you have to split up a 401k or your IRAs?
Yeah, so typically as part of a divorce settlement, especially if there's a significant percentage of the assets in the family in retirement accounts, those retirement accounts get split. They have to be done properly. If they're not split properly, it's going to cause taxes to the person that didn't have that in their name. So again, these things are tricky. They have to be planned for. Also, many times before a divorce settlement is done, people call us as be their financial planners, or attorneys call us, because there's more equitable ways to split that estate in the case of a divorce. And sometimes people make mistakes and they end up paying a lot more taxes than the other spouse.
Okay, so you have to be careful how you do it, because otherwise it's going to show up like a bunch of income and then you get taxed.
Exactly.
You want it to stay in a retirement account.
Correct.
So is that something that people should do if they're thinking about getting a divorce? We all go to lawyers, they do all these things. Should they be going to a financial advisor so that they get that person's advice too?
Well, in many cases we found the lawyers don't necessarily know the intricacies and how to maximize those assets. So they should at least get a second opinion on the splitting of the assets. Not on the legal piece, that's not our job,
right,
but on the splitting of the assets, how they can maximize the assets for taxes and just for rate of return for retirement.
Okay, and the third thing would be a family home. Sometimes that's a couple's biggest investment, right?
That could be their biggest investment. It's either typically the retirement accounts or the family home, and this is a big question. Who's going to get the home? Is the home, many times one person will get the home, but then when that home is sold, there's a splitting of the profits of the home. So again, things that have a big financial impact that a lot of times people don't think of. They're going through a very difficult time in their lives. A lot of times they just want to get it over with, and all these things, again, need to be looked at.
Okay, so that's another reason you might want to see a financial advisor, because
right,
you're so emotional. You need someone to just give you the list of what needs to be done so that it's fair for both people.
Exactly, and it gets very, very difficult, and so, it's a difficult time. Outside input is very healthy.
Okay, so another point, the updating of the beneficiaries. If you've been married for a long time, you probably just put your husband or wife as a beneficiary on everything.
Right, and this is a big one. This is where we see a lot of mistakes. It becomes an afterthought. Check your beneficiaries. Make sure they are what you want them to be, and that you've thought all that through. And sometimes it makes sense even a year or two after the divorce to revisit that.
Okay, so the beneficiaries might be on your 401k, might be on life insurance. I mean, there's a whole list of things you might have had to list a beneficiary for.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's all the things that you need to think about, and of course your team is available if people want to visit, and we can find more information by just going to bettermoneytv.com, and you can learn more there.
Yeah, and you can leave any questions that you have. We'll be glad to email back and give you whatever information we can help with.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Joel.
Thank you, Kara.
That's Better Money.